Hello everybody and welcome to another video from the Macholuco Missing People channel. And welcome to all the new subscribers, all the people that have been with me for a while. You're very much appreciated here. And all your comments are very much appreciated in the comment section as we try to unravel what is happening to these people that seem to go missing without a trace and without any good logical explanation. Today I would like to talk about a couple of things. One case, that of Andrew Jarzyk, missing from Hoboken, New Jersey on March 30th, 2014 at 2:10 a.m. And also just a few things I observed recently as I made my way home at a late night hour, and how this disappearance and others, how difficult it would be for an investigator to get it right, especially with very little evidence or witness accounts of what actually happened to the person. In other words, what I'm trying to say, as I've always said in the previous cases, and as David Pilates has said, I'm trying to make the point of how important it is that this person somehow becomes isolated, even if it is for a few seconds before they actually go missing. So to this day, we cannot have a good account from these cases of a person having been seen, quote unquote, taken or falling off somewhere. It's just they were here in one instant and then they weren't. And this is a great case for that. But as you know, following this channel and others like it, this is certainly not the first time this has happened. So Andrew was a professional. He was in finance. He had a double major, and he was on his way to great things. He studied economics and business administration, and he was awarded the Outstanding Sophomore Award in 2007. So he was really a great student and knew what he was doing and which way he was heading in life. And he was working for a financial group in Woodland Park, New Jersey, as an assistant vice president and relationship manager. And he was also an avid golfer and just loved sports, and just a regular, dude, a man's man, like just a guy that loved to hang out after work with his buddies and, shoot a round of golf. And then work hard when the work week came by. So on March 29th, Andrew, along with some of his friends, went to the West 5 Supper Club at 505 Madison Street in Hoboken, New Jersey. A club where you go for good dining, good dancing, good music. It's just a place to be. At approximately 1 a.m. on the 30th, so early morning hour, Andrew left the club and made the two-block walk back to his apartment. So it was right there. Like, he didn't have to drive, he didn't have to Uber, he just walked, right? Apparently he changed into some jogging clothes as he was getting ready for a half marathon at that time, and he went for a run. That's one thing you have to do if you're committed to something so extraneous as a marathon or half marathon. There's no days off, you have to stay on target. So he did, even though it was a weird hour, but I guess he didn't have a chance to run earlier that day. And fortunately, he was caught on a CCTV camera at 2:09 a.m. on that same night, which was great because we had a visual and a little bit of evidence of him actually still alive at 2:09 a.m. However, this was running along the paved trail adjacent to the Hudson River in the area of Pier C, and the closest kind of intersection in terms of roadway, anyone driving, would have been Sinatra Drive and 4th Street. And of course, at 2:09 a.m., you can't count on many drivers being at that intersection, right? So that was the last image captured of the runner, and there was a huge search that ensued the following day, where police were notified. They brought out all the usual tools that they have at their disposal. They searched the entire area where he was last seen. They searched the river. They searched around the river. They brought in dogs, canines, and sniffer dogs, cadaver dogs. But all that effort did not yield any results. And to be clear, on the CCTV footage, there was no one around him. He was the only person on that time frame in that shot. So there was no one seen following him, or no one suspicious other people looking at him, or any suspicious vehicles going slower, or nothing like that. There was nothing suspicious, only him appearing for a little bit on his jog and then disappearing from the frame. So nothing unusual so far, right? But obviously when he was not seen back at his apartment, people sounded alarm bells and started the search. So on April 30th, roughly a month later, at 5 p.m., a ferry captain on the Hudson River was pulling into a dock, and they noticed a body in the water. So they contacted New York police, and the Marine unit did respond right away. This body was found near the ferry slips behind the Hoboken Lackawanna terminal. If that probably says something to the people living there. As far as location goes, the body was given to the North Regional Medical Examiner's Office in New York, and the pathologists did their work, and the medical examiner stated that it was Andrew according to the dental record. So they knew that this body of a male that was recovered was Andrew. So it was slightly decomposed, but it did not they could not determine any kind of foul play based on any injuries, bruises, bleeding. It was as if the body just was slipped into the water, and there was literally no damage to it, but unfortunately the person was deceased. So again, very consistent with all the other cases that we talk about in this channel, right? Where even though this is 2014, and there's a lot of tools at the disposal of the pathologist, and a lot of tests that can be run, and comparison, cases from the past, they still cannot make a determination on the cause of death, which is very unusual. Based on the circumstances. The coroner stated that the final cause of death still had not been determined officially after the preliminary testing was done. To this day, the official result has not been released. So we still don't know what the official cause of death is. Unlike in the Garish family that we've talked about earlier, we did get a official cause of death, which was hyperthermia, which I'll let you be the judge, but I do not buy that for a second. And a lot of people following these stories do not buy it for a second. But at least there was an official release of a cause of death, not in this case. We still don't know what the cause of death was. And so there was an article on the website nj.com, NewJersey.com, I suppose, and there was a statement that said searchers in the river earlier this month were unsuccessful, and it's unclear why Jarzyk's body wasn't discovered during these efforts. This seems to be the typical result in these cases, guys. Like initially, you throw everything in the kitchen sink at these cases, and you get literally nothing, and then weeks and months go by, and someone's just jogging, or on the ferry on the river, or they're in the park having a barbecue, and they notice something unusual in the water, and they contact authorities. And the issue with this procedure, guys, is that obviously if that body was there earlier, which we assume it was, because we don't believe in magic on this channel, then why did the experts and the canines and all the efforts not locate that body? Right? It's a solid question that remains to this day that's not answered. It literally seems like this person was taken somewhere for maybe 2-3 weeks, maybe less, depending on the case. And when no one's looking, deposited back in typically the similar area where they were taken from when nobody's looking. Now, the problem with that, obviously, if these are people that are doing this, as the theory from Gannon and Gilbertson states on the Smiley case, murder cases, is that as good as you can be as a human being at doing this, I don't buy the fact that you would be flawless for decades in various geographic areas and you'd never make a mistake. I don't buy that. Okay, the best professionals in their best fields make mistakes. Okay, and in fact, that's what makes them the best. A ton of mistakes that they've done earlier that they've fixed by the time they're really, really good. And even then, I mean, I'm a amateur salsa dancer, and I try to compare my scores to the pros. And just because a pro is a pro doesn't mean they get 10 out of 10 or 100 out of 100 on every run. Far from it, guys. A lot of professionals have up and down swings just like everybody else. So to say that these professionals that are responsible for this somehow are flawless for over a century of recorded case study is ludicrous. This is not something that I believe in. I'm sure if you're here following this channel, you don't believe this either, because this is not something that human beings are capable of. We're not flawless in any way. We are full of flaws, and that's fine. That's what makes us, who we are. But here we're reading about and discussing stuff that seems to have a flawless element in it, and that's not possible from a human level. So what I'm saying, without saying it, I guess, is that there's a beyond human element here. I don't know what it is. You guys are welcome to comment and put your theories forward. They're very welcome here. I'm not gonna judge either way. I'm gonna take it and see where we go with it. But the point here is that I don't believe in flawless behavior, especially when the stakes are so high. If you get caught, you're facing tremendous repercussion and penalty and jail time and everything that comes with criminal activity, right? So this is my point, okay? This is of the video, and obviously to this day we don't know, and my heart goes out to the Jarzyk family in New Jersey. This man was, again, so well-to-do. He was brilliant in what he did. He was very liked. He volunteered his free time in his area to help the community. So again, my heart goes out to the family and to the community for a huge loss. Now, to finish off, what I would like to just propose and allow everyone watching to think about for a second is, last night and many other nights, I remember coming home late from parties, from late soccer training, you name it, just late. It was like past midnight, past 1 a.m. The roads were almost empty, right? And I always think about, well, technically, if I were to stop the car on a red light and get out of the vehicle, I would be as vulnerable to this phenomena as the people that I'm talking about, technically speaking, right? Because nothing else is different. I mean, this is not isolated to one city or one area or one spot. This happens all over the place, right? Boston, New York, Edmonton, you name it. So technically speaking, even though it seems very selective who's taken and who's not, it's very much not in broad daylight, right? So even though I'm all about probability and not possibility, because the possibilities are endless. You can sit here and make up stories with serendipitous paths crossing until the cows come home, but that's not going to help, right? Anybody can do that. What I like to focus on is the probability. Like in the Jelani Brinson's case, remember when he was found in the in Anoka, Minnesota, in the golf pond, just behind, a few hundred yards behind a house he was last seen in. Yeah, there's possible ways he would have gotten there, but the probability of him getting there and not being found by golfers golfing for days earlier on that very busy golf course is slim to none, guys. And just like Andrew Jarzyk in this river, 30 days of him floating around, I don't buy it. On a busy Hudson River with other ferries going back and forth, I don't buy it. With pathways and promenades along the river, not 30 days. 30 hours, yeah, maybe, overnight, and eventually someone locates, but 30 days? Tourists, busy street, downtown core? No, not buying it, guys. So, going back to me being outside at a late night, especially now, with social media, headphones, people looking at their phone, not paying attention to their surroundings, I believe that whatever is responsible for this is watching, is observing. They're picking off people that, for their motives, will help them in their goal of doing whatever they're doing. And these people are very intelligent. These people are not. Notice how it's not the homeless that, nothing against the homeless, but it's not them that get taken. It's not the criminals that are like the problem of society. They're not taken in these cases. They're usually either brilliant at something, either like engineering, computer science, programming, maybe some kind of experimental new technology, mathematicians, like in Edmonton, right? The case of the young student that I just talked in November. It seems like something about that either genetic material that's very, well nurtured by the person, that is extra valuable, and maybe their youth and physical stamina for most of these cases are from either athletes or at least strong, healthy individuals, and just pillars of society, right? Which is also the tragic part, because we need these people. We need them more than anything else. Like we, especially now with the pandemic and everything that's been going on, we can't afford to lose any of these kinds of people. Anybody, to be honest. But like, especially when you hear about stuff like this, you just wonder, like, obviously this is not something we can have happen to societies continuously into the future, right? So please post in the comments below what you think may be happening. David Paulides has done so much good work in this area, and over 100 plus videos on his channel detailing some of what I'm talking about. I feel like he's done 5 lifetimes worth of work in that area, and he'll forever be, in my opinion anyway, in my life, remembered as someone that brought light not only to a very difficult subject, but also kept the memory of these people alive, right? Which is very, very important. But yeah, just let me know what you think, because even in my Bob Lazar video, if you remember way back when I did that Bob Lazar review of his film with Jeremy Corbell, and even he said, like, look, he was a physicist, right? He's still around. And he said, the way science advances is not for one person to just have an opinion and dismiss everything else in a vacuum or in a closed room where you make a breakthrough and you don't tell anyone. That's not how it works. You need various points of view from various places, from various minds, from old, young, educated, non-educated, you name it. You need a ton of different points of view if you want to make progress. Just like Elon Musk, right, with Tesla. He's a smart guy, but he hires incredibly smart people, some of them smarter than him in a lot of areas. And guess what? When enough Twitter followers say, hey, Elon, can you fix this in my Tesla? It's really bothering me. He listens. He doesn't just say, well, buzz off. Who are you? Like, don't you know who I am? I'm Elon Musk. No. He's like, okay, guys, obviously this is a problem. Give me a couple of months. This will be done. Over-the-air update. Watch for it in April. I'll fix it. That's how things progress, guys. Not by, I know it all. I know how this works. So yeah, post below, especially if you're living in New Jersey and you know of the area that this case happened, or especially if you live by a river, you maybe thinking back, you notice some unusual things happen, or just some feelings you had, some maybe moments where you thought you were being watched as you walked home. Anything might help, guys, because at this point, we're in January of 2022, and as much as we have a large volume of data out there with David Paulides and other channels doing great work to expose this difficult subject. As far as progress goes, it's tough. Yeah, we're not where we want to be at. So let's keep plugging away. And thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your comments and subscriptions. I really love it. And I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.